That was the first time I found out what time we were flying. Cool. So then I started having to pack, after I finished getting my hair done, obviously, pack. And packing when your mom is there is not the same as packing when you're on your own. I wasn't able to pack in the same messy way that I did when I left New York. Now I had to do Marie Kondo style. My mom was like, hey, what are you doing? Fold that. And I was like, ugh. Anyway, folded everything. But I appreciated it when I got, when I unpacked my bags. So packed all my bags and then called a family friend to like drop me off, hooked everything up, got all my documents that I need together. The next day, in the morning, that's when I got all the details because I thought, okay, I'm just gonna go to OR Tambo, get on the flight like normal. It was not normal. It wasn't like normal. So there's like a location that you all have to go to, and then once you get there, you get the next steps. They tell you what else to do. So basically, you can't just namela stuff, or you can't just like, oh, I'm just gonna get on this flight. You have to register and do all the stuff in order to know, follow all the steps in order to know exactly what's gonna happen next. So get there, and everybody's bags are lined up. So they tell me, okay, you need to put your bags down, but and then go inside to the reception area. So I went inside into the reception area. They scanned me for like my temperature, and then I was like, okay, great. Went outside and they were giving us instructions with the megaphone.
Through, we'll start the process again. Thank you very much.
Then they were like, okay, it's time for you to all check in. Start the process of checking in and boarding. So we went inside. I was the first one in the line. Got there, they checked my paperwork, and obviously they saw some issues because they didn't know if students were allowed to travel. But I was like, you know what? I got the email that tells me that I'm allowed to fly. I'm not even going to stress. So I stood by the side and people were passing me, but I wasn't stressed, Like I said, if something is meant for you, it's meant for you. Regardless of the obstacles in the way, you'll eventually get there. So I waited, chilling. And then they called me back, stamped my stuff. They said, yes, you're good. Got on the bus. So there's like 3 or 4 buses that shuttle buses that take you to the actual place you're going to get the flight. So I get on the bus, and obviously people were social distancing, which I really appreciated. And then you put your bags obviously in the thing, in the bus at the bottom. When you get off, you're supposed to go identify your bags, and then you take the bags that you have on you and you put them with you there. As we're entering, sorry, I'm saying this in the wrong order, but as we're entering into OR Tambo, the actual airport, there's like blockades throughout. Like, you can tell that this is not something where anybody can just come to the airport. No, you cannot. So there's Metro Police, there's police officers, and not like 1 or 2, like a lot. So you really can't get away with doing anything funky. So when we get to the entrance to Terminal A, there's like a whole bunch more of police officers. They give us like the slip to fill in. One of the ladies came to me, she's like, all your bags, your fanny pack, everything, you need to put it by your other bags, so they can get checked and screened. Cool, put my bags down, filling in my form. When I turn back, there's a police dog just there, sniffing all the bags. And I was just like, this is so weird. This is just so strange. But I guess nothing was normal at that point, So the dog is like sniffing all the bags. Cool. And then after that, you can grab your bags with the paperwork that you just filled in. I've never filled out that paperwork before. I guess it's a COVID-19 thing where they ask you if you've been infected, if you know anyone who's been infected. So I guess it's like one of these contact tracing elements of the trip or of the process. So fine, then yeah, got on the flight. The lady that checked me in was so sweet and so helpful. She hooked me up with a good seat. She kept telling me that like actually where I was sitting was a seat that had a lot of room, but because it's a rebookable seat, a lot of people changed their seats to that one and they paid more to get that seat. And I was like, no, I don't want to sit next to anyone. I don't want to have to talk to anybody. I don't want anyone to talk to me. Like, I just want to be unbothered, completely unbothered throughout the flight. So she was like, okay, I'm going to hook you up. So I was like, put me anywhere where you think would be good, but I want to be sitting near a window. She was like, I got you. Fine. Then we checked in, went through, they did all the boarding pass, all the normal checks that you get, like, take your liquids out, etc. We did that, and everybody along the way was just so like curious but also kind and friendly, and there was like a very like a lightness to the interactions. You know, they're like, "Yeah, Sissy, so you have to go back, ne? Get chalete," and we're just cracking up, like, "Yes, we get it. Go get that money. Go get those dollars," you know. And we're just cracking up the whole way. Just everybody was just so chill, so light. And I guess maybe it's because they're not processing many people, so they don't have to be super strict and super tense, I guess. But it was positive. Then yeah, got through, got my passport stamped, and then when I got through to the other side, that's when I truly saw how many people were actually getting on this flight. Because I thought, oh, there's like 40 people on this flight. This is really strange. No, there were probably like maybe 110 or something like that out of a possible 350 people on the flight. So got on the flight and I had 3 rows to myself. I have never, this was the best flight of my life. 3 rows. The seat in the row in front of me empty, row behind me empty, row next to me pretty much empty. There was like a couple further down. And then you get the announcements. The announcements are like, you need to have your mask on at all times. Your mask should be covering your nose and mouth at all times throughout the flight. The only time you're supposed to not have your mask on is if you are eating or drinking. Please do not be in the aisles. Do not walk up and down the aisles. The only time you are walking in the aisles is to go to the bathroom. Every section has a designated bathroom to use. You only use your designated bathroom and no other bathroom. Please keep your interactions with others to a bare minimum, you know, to minimize obviously the spread of anything. We will be checking you every 4 hours for your temperature. And I had bought a visor, so there went my plan of putting that on. Then also they were like, the food service that we give you, you only have 2 choices basically: chicken or beef, okay, or veggie. There's no like, can I have, and also no alcoholic drinks, okay, at all. Just fruit juices. And I think there was some soda. I don't know. I just had juice and water. And yeah, it was just very interesting. The flight attendants were all wearing full hazmat suits, which I was happy to see, but I was like, oh, I wish I had one too, you know? Um, yeah, just a very interesting flight. The flight itself was smooth. Everything about it was on point, fantastic, best flight of my life. The only issue was because the flight, I don't know, the plane that they used was like a vintage collector's item. I don't know. We were not able to charge our phones. Anyway, you know, I spoke to someone, one of the flight attendants. I was like, listen, when I land, I need to be able to contact the people who are going to come pick me up, because it's still another 4 hour journey for me. When I get there, I need to go still to New York, because the flight was flying to DC. So Charlie was going to come pick me up with his one of our friends, and we were going to drive back to New York from DC. Cool, all good, no issues. The guy takes my phone and he charges my phone somewhere, you know, I think in business class, which was just, again, people were just so kind and so generous throughout the process. Like all the departments that I've dealt with before, or I've heard negative things before, or that I've had negative experiences with before, redeemed themselves in some way in this experience. Everyone, perfect. Cool. Landed. They told us that only 40 people get off at a time, and then we have to wait, I think, 5 minutes, and then another 40 people disembark, and then another 5 minutes, just like that, just like that. Cool, got off, and then yeah, then it was the normal procedure of like getting your passport checked. I was obviously a little bit stressed, because I always am, regardless of which country I'm entering into. But there was one weird little thing. This one guy was not wearing shoes. Like, there are so many opportunities in life when you can decide to not wear shoes. Camping, festival, party, at home. I don't know, wherever you want, but just not at the airport when you're trying to come into a country during one of the biggest global pandemics we have ever known. What are you doing? Anyway, by the time he got to the passport control, guess what happened to him? The border agent was so intense on them, him and his friend, that they ended up being taken to a separate room for questioning. And I was like, yeah, because you look sus. Why are you not wearing shoes at the airport? What are you doing? And also, please remember that it wasn't daytime when we arrived. We arrived there at midnight or close to midnight. Our flight was actually delayed. So, what are you doing? In any case, I got in just fine. My border agent was like, great. He was asking me about South Africa, how things were there, telling me about his, family, how he's been feeling about everything. And then I got through and I got reunited with Charlie, which was just so amazing. And the funny thing is that when I landed, I had to text them, be like, babe, I don't know, like, are we gonna hug? Are we gonna, because I don't want to hug you after being on this flight, because obviously I'm at risk. And but I haven't seen you in like almost 3 months, well, full 3 months. So I want to hug you, but I don't think we should. So he was like, I agree, we'll just do that later when we get home. So I was like, great. Yeah, and then we drove back to New York, and obviously that's when I got on Twitter and I saw everything that was happening with Black Lives Matter and just a whole lot of protests that were happening, which rightfully so were happening, and people were just fed up. And it just felt like I was entering into a new world in a way, like a new version of New York City, not the old version. And I guess in many ways it is. But yeah, that was my experience coming back here during the pandemic. It was quite the journey. I definitely feel like there's going to be a lot of changes to the aviation industry. And when I was flying the whole time, I just kept thinking, this is one of the places that would be the easiest to pick up germs. Because even a simple thing like, okay, let's say you've just washed your hands and you go back to your seat. In order to get back to your seat after washing your hands, you have to open the door, which everybody's touching, to the bathroom, right? And then you have to go into your seat. Half the time you're holding onto the seat in front of you to balance. Okay, let's say you're not touching that. When the food comes, you have to open the tray table. That's a tray table that thousands, if not millions, of people have already touched. So you have to sanitize that and then sanitize your hands again. Yeah, I just feel like it's going to be very interesting to see what things are going to look like moving forward, because yeah, a lot of changes have to be made. I saw that American Airlines and some other airlines in America are going to start flying at full capacity. I personally think that is not a good idea, particularly given the fact that even when we were on a completely social distanced flight, it still felt like there were lots of opportunities to get, germs, to pick up germs. And now I'm thinking people are protesting wearing masks. So can you imagine the kind of things that people are going to have to be, oh, I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if they're going to police people on the thing, like on the flight, to make sure that people are wearing their masks. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think some serious changes need to be made until a proper long-term solution is found, because full capacity flights is not the way. I definitely don't think so. But we'll see what they decide. I'm happy to be back in New York City, and I managed to apply for my work permit that I mentioned before. That was the reason for me coming here anyway. And I just feel like, yeah, I'm in the right place, and this was the right decision for me. And yeah, I'm just curious to see what the future of travel looks like moving forward. I'll probably be back with more videos. I was actually a commencement speaker for my graduation at my school. So I'm gonna do a video about that. It's probably gonna be called a cringe with me. Come cringe with me, because both the videos that I made, that I submitted, were cringeworthy. You'll see what I mean. Anyway, thank you for watching this far, and yeah, I'll talk to you another time. Bye.